recap. So going back, this is the statistics that is having right now for every 100 Filipino child that will enter grade 1, only 1 or 2 will get a stable job. And this is the kind of the educational system that we are having right now, an educational system that we really wanted to change somehow, because it's not only um, discouraging the people from these statistics, but at the same time, it is actually shaping the future of the individuals. How about you guys? What are the ideas or the opinions that you have, knowing that this is what's going on around in our educational system? Can you please try to tell me? Hey guys, what is your takeaway with this one? So you may key in, you may comment your answers in there. So in the Philippines that we are having right now, there are laws, there are policies that will really govern us. There are um, republic acts that are being presented, even administered long time ago. Some of them may not be applicable anymore, but some also needs to be augmented or need some changes. But nonetheless, these legal basis that we have in our educational system protects the teacher. So in the future, if you'll be the teacher, these are the things that you need to also address. So number one, our educational system always includes that we will be going back to the different things. So number one, we have our 1987 Constitution of the Philippines, where that means we will be really checking to these things time to time. We also have our Education Act of 1982. We will know more about that. What is the Republic Act of the Magna Carta for teachers? So you memorize the numbers, because time to time in answering your PRC, these are the numbers that will be asked. For example, what is the Republic Act for the Philippine Teachers of 1994? So Republic Act 7836. So those teachers who graduated mga 1990, mga 1980, wala to sila yung PRC or licensure exam, because the licensure exam started in 1994. So if they will be asked, they cannot present of that particular PRC ID, but they have their specific teacher's ID. So it is on that time in 1994 where all of the graduates for teachers or my teacher in the future, they really need to do the licensure examination. And along the way until 2019, there were changes. First, it was like professional Philippine Teachers Professional Education Act exam. Then there was a LET, and then there was BLEP, and now they have LEPT. So they have undergo different changes of name. But if you go work abroad, your PRC ID will still be part of the requirements. At the same time, there are states, there are countries that would ask you to get their licensure examination, like Praxis. If you're an English teacher, you need to go TOEFL or TESOL or like Cambridge examinations. Now, we also have to check with the code of ethics for professional teachers. Is it okay si teacher mangutang sa iyang student? Is it okay if si teacher ma-fall in love sa iyang high school student? Because it can be possible, right? Is it okay nga si teacher kay na fall in love sa biyudo nga parent, or biyuda nga parent, pwede ba na siya? Is it okay if si teacher nag-post din nag-bikini post because she's in the beach? Or is it okay right now? Diba? The thing is on the news feed is Mom Dan Vibes. Do you follow her? Right now, Mom Dan Vibes has her students already in um giving some music tutorial to our students. We also need to visit later on the DepEd memorandum and what are the circulars or the mga laws promulgated, and the CHED memorandum and what are those specific executive order. So these are some of the major laws that they have. So when you go to our section on our Philippine Constitution, it is there on number um, 14, which states everything for education. So it's stated there that we will be ensuring the rights of all citizens to equal education at all levels. State shall take appropriate steps to make education accessible for all. So this is actually patterned in the Education for All, or the IFA, which is one of the mandatory in the American curriculum, or American standard for education. And since we've been conquered by the influence of Americans, they also put that one in the stipulation of our Philippine Constitution, where it's stated there, even if you're right, poor, handicapped, disability or not, girl or boy, Muslim or Christians will have an equal access to a quality education. But nonetheless, it might not hold true because some can go to school, but yet others, although public education is free, still they are not able to join the school. Section 2 stipulates that the establishment and maintenance of a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people and the society. Is it true? Maybe to some, but to the minority group, this can be questioned because there are some schools who will not who are not given equal access, just like for example in the module in the distance learning that we have right now, diba? Some schools are not even, they don't have access to the educational system. Like the modules, it would take time to get them. They don't even have access to our um, internet because there's no Wi-Fi connection on that area. Some teachers also are not really qualified to become teachers, just like in a tribe, or those people who are really in the remote area, governed by wars, by certain activities of uncivilized people that can be harmful also for them, or mga terrorists. Another thing is that although public can be stipulated that it should give a free and compulsory public education, but sometimes there are minimal fee being asked by the public school. Diba? If you remember, maybe some of you guys, when you were still in a public school, you were asked different fees. The teachers there will give you a little, um, ask you payments, contribution, and then magyaw-yaw dayon na ang mga parents, no? We also have secondary education to our individuals, particularly in public school. And in other school like institutions, I know for example, Asian College of Technology, they offer, imagine, 100,000 free for their senior high if you are qualified for a certain credentials and certain grades. So maybe you can ask someone for about this. There are also scholarships and grants and incentives. For example, if you're a senior high graduate, you will be given 100% discount to any courses for the college, 75 for salutatorian, then other percentage will follow for the discount percentage for those degrees that you will choose. And just like you also have some scholarships, right? I really don't know the process how you became a scholar. Any one of you wants to share how you are chosen to be a scholar of BTC? Was there a grade that is being asked for you to maintain, or was there someone who recommend or nominated you to get a scholarship? Anyone wants to share their idea? Saintly, Saintly, yes. Faith scholarship. Define it. Nap. Sige, basta ganon, 'di ba? Sometimes when 'di ba I told you that I've also been staying there. Sometimes Kuya and Teacher Darrow would even share to me regarding wala pa daw naabot ang money for the sponsors, for the tuition fee, and really it's really a test of faith, no, with the people who who really put or have that heart to really accumulate a portion of their money to be in a scholarship program. And I guess this one of my desire later on in the future that I will have a scholar in BTC, because when I had some friends before, like Catherine, I also met Arlene, Angel, Sarah. They were my set of friends whom I really was very close with. And sometimes they would tell me, teacher, please pray. Kaya wag pa nabayaran ang eskwelahan, o pa nabayaran ang tuition fee. So something like that. And even from your food allowances, and even those people who are just randomly used by God to give random food, mga items, di ba? As in, ma-amaze yun ko ba nga, sa jud pag work ni God ang people who are working in BTC, and even those teachers that you have there who are so generous, even if they have little amount of their money, of their salary, they're still able to share. Now we also have non-formal and informal educational system for our indigenous groups. As a matter of fact, if you know someone who is like already at his age, like for example 20-ish years old, but he was not able to go to school, they can just go to the alternative learning system. So if grade 1 lang sila na naka-finish or naka-eskwela, but they are able to comply the ALS or the alternative learning system, and they will take the assessment. If maka-answer sila, it's like they will graduate, or kumbaga they will be given equivalency of a person who graduate in high school. Then if they do good well in that ALS, then they can proceed into um, vocational courses, just like presented by TESDA. Who among you here are getting some scholarships to TESDA? Do you have some scholarship, guys? TESDA. Okay, let me key in your answers. So TESDA, actually, I have two courses in TESDA. One was medical transcriptionist. The other one was baking. So it was so fun because I got it for free in our school. It's called the RITTC. So it's like they're giving us they are actually giving us the scholarship program, and I also got the eye sewing, but wala ko nag-attend. So it's actually free. They will they would ask the people there to attend because their experts would be sharing their ideas. Yeah. Likaw siya, guys, kay although sa ako ang end no kay I could have given the slot to other people kay buandra yun siya sa ako kanang waste kayo siya ba kay di kay ko mo attend, but then mo contribute lang ko. But there were some sessions that I really enjoyed, especially sa pastry, because magamit gid nimo, and sa sewing wala kay ko nagamit. But then I really do hope that you join TESDA this time. There are also DOST scholarships that you can join online to really help you and gain that certificate, because um, these can really help you in building your name at the same time your credentials when you apply. Okay, so these are where we can get our educations to the Philippines. Now, what are those rights? What are those activities or the Magna Carta that protects our teachers? Now, have you heard about stories that teachers right now kay nagkuan, nagmaki baka, or unsa man ang mga gipangsulong karon sa mga teachers? You can see it on Facebook. There are a lot of complaints from our public school teachers. And one of you who has mindedness, or who are also in connection, or na may idea, guys, what are the problems of our public school teachers, or any one of you working right now in a public school or connected to any school, Becky, in your answers. Naa ba? Okay pa ba tayo dyan, people?
Wala po, ma'am.
Ha? Say wala pa, ma'am. Let me see your chat, guys. Stress in module checking. Yes, true. What else? What else have you heard about them? Maybe if you do have some friends, if you do have some kanang mga posts ninyo nakita about them. Hmm?
Punishment, sure.
Punishment, no? Relax man daw kumpara before. Really, ana, pataasan daw ang sweldo. Marag, yes, true. That's true, Saint D. Kay ang uban, dili mo pasa and no child left behind. Siguro, daghan na nag-bright, no? Daghan na ang mga children nga perfect ang score. Manghatag og laptop sa teachers, Ma'am Nenti. Yes, because some kuan ang laptop. Marag, silarium or dugay kaayo. So there are actually specific rights from the Magna Carta of Teacher. You memorize this one, write this. Republic Act 4670. So that is the Magna Carta for teachers, or these are the right of the teachers if you will be a teacher in the future. First is to right to be informed of the charges in writing. For example, if makiha si ma'am, kaya nga naman, nangusnit, or namalo og hands nga di naman na pwede karon niya labi nag social media no basin gi-record ba ron na sa iyang student and whatsoever. It is very rightful that um there should be the summon. So dapat ano gyud na si teacher na gyud na mga written records of the charges. But before na siya ma-happen, guys, students or the parent should, so before the issue would escalate, dapat gyud na siya i-deal na gyud na siya. For example, iyang kontra kay student to teacher, dapat ma-deal na unta na ni teacher, dili pa niya ipaabot sa principal, pag maabot pa jud sa barangay. So if mag-complain na ang mother, if good kayo ang teacher no or even the principal, um imo jud na siyang put off dayon ang fire. Dis na na kuan ma-pile up pa kay ngano ma-record man na si teacher niya bati kayo no. There would be some cases against the teacher. Yeah. Next is to have that right to full access to evidence in the case. So for example, the teacher there, should have given equal access to either they should have some lawyers or they should have some protection. So for example, ang kiha baron kay about teacher nga namuna lagi mo na usually ang uso kuya magdisiplin sa student kay i-report diretso sa tulfo. Yes, mo na lang atong kuan another side of the story. So the teacher should have the right. So sabot pa jud right now nga ang cellphone no, ang video is one of the primary or essential evidence, but it cannot be also better said than done if nakat burn ang clip or there was no um, whole film of what is going on around, because we might be judgmental at times to the teacher or to whoever is having any criminal cases in a teaching environment. Next, if the teacher doesn't have a lawyer to defend him, there is a PAO or a public attorney's office. They can get it for free. They'll just go to the government offices, or for the sa law, there's actually a free attorney or free lawyer who can help us. So the right to defend himself and be defended by a representative of his choice. Either kung walay kaya si teacher, PAO, public attorney's office. If na siya kaya o kanang mga kailan nila ng mga attorney, but nonetheless it will take money. Samot pa gyud kung walay money si teacher no. Right to appeal to clearly designated authorities. So for example, who are those people who would be assigned also for that hearing or for the charges, and if the teacher is not even guilty, he or she should provide also the necessary evidences. For example, there was an issue last year. I don't know if you heard about it. It's about a teacher in the north. he was actually reporting a certain money for the liquidation. There was some discrepancy. So to make it short, there was a money daw distributed to the teachers because of the pandemic. However, the teachers did not receive any amount of that money. So the teacher there was backlash on the internet. Grabe kay sila naka-comment ni teacher, and only to figure out that it was true indeed because teacher didn't give the money to the rightful people. And right now, uh, he was mobbed in the internet. He was she was he called for an appeal that it was not true, but then after investigations, after thorough clearing up the liquidation, she was like corrupt teacher or a corrupt um district supervisor. So it's also rightful for a teacher to get married to an individual whom it can be a school teacher, it can be employed to a same locality. So before, if maminyo ka o ka ng example in a private school, it's a no-no na maminyo ka o co-teacher. Before, it was like the culture. Because if something happens daw in the home, pwede siya madala sa imuhang environment in the in the classroom. But right now, what is being encouraged is that teachers should marry down on the same locality. Why not? Diba? It's very strategic. It's very wise decision because if ang imuhang mana na-assign dito sa Bohol, nga ikaw ka na diri sa Cebu, your mind will be roaming around and may be thinking several unnecessary thoughts or mga suspicions nimo na nagminyo na tudto kong sawang bana na to'y kakiringking ditong younger individual, di ba? So it might be good if they are in the same locality, maybe of different school, basta they are somehow nearby, because it also gives the very thin line of infidelity to a person. Di ba kamo guys? Would you like your wife to be of the same school with you, or you want her or him to be of other school? So depende ninyo. Another thing for this Magna Carta for teachers, there is a requirement. So dili lang pwede nga i-graduate nimo ma-public school teacher din ka kay, because you hear about stories that they are actually having 25,000 and now they will get 35,000 because Duterte is on his um he would increase the salary of the teacher since he already granted the increased salary of those who are working in the military offices. Right now teachers are in the next line for the increase of salary, so maybe you guys, you will be benefiting this one. So if you're a teacher, these are the requirement processes. First, you should be, if you're an elementary school teacher, you need to graduate in a particular school or university and have your degree, either elementary, special education, um, specialization on science, values education, physical education, what else? Math, science, social studies, and alike. And then you really need to get licensure examination for teachers, which is 75%. But there is no changes yet if people will say that it will be 80%. So dapat mga kuha na gyud ta ni guys, mag seatbelt na gyud ta, and we really need to study. So for the secondary teachers also, they really need to get at least master's degree program after they would take the let, or maski wala pa sila let, it's very mandatory that you will probably get 18 units, especially for the major subjects that you have. So for example, you guys, your values ed, so it's very rightful that you will be joining again BTC for getting some units in the master degree program. So mag-enroll mo so that you can really boost your value, kumbaga, as a teacher, as an educator. And then when you study also, if like for example, you've already worked for a particular institution for 5 years or more than 5 years, you're actually commendable for a sabbatical leave. Like in our school, in USJR, if you would get CHED scholarship, you will be given 1 year sabbatical leave, meaning you will be studying. It's up to you. It's up to your own discretion if you have little teaching load or you will be deload. For example, you are having 24 units, and since you are studying to pursue your study and you're a child scholar, either for master or doctoral, they will give you a specific number of load and then little na lang um, for the activities in the teaching field. Now, there's also indefinite leave, especially for the people who will be working abroad, or like they need to study abroad or they have the exchange program, so they can file the indefinite leave. And another thing is that in the Philippines, we actually have the promulgation already for 100 days leave, but in another country like for Sweden, they have 460 days maternity leave. So dito more than a year ka, you don't go to your work, but still you are paid. But for teaching activities for teachers, they are actually given 60 days off from school, but then they are still paid. But mind you, they're very it's very different if you're a public school teacher and if you are um private teacher. So public school teacher, they get to paid they are paid for their summertime, while for teachers, the private school, sometimes they don't have pay during summertime. So vacation leave with pay, that's for a public school teacher, and they also get to enjoy an increase every now and then, every time that they're in the institution, in the public offices, the DepEd division or district, there is a possibility that your salary will increase. That is why they keep on telling, if mag-public school teacher ka, ang bangko mo ay mugukod nimo. Ang bangko mo ay mangita nimo, ma, would you like to loan? Because you have that somehow, that stability of your work or for your job. And you only have until the age of 60 to be in a public school or to get your retirement. But there's also a chance to get early retirement. And if in the long run you still want to be a teacher in a public school, you should stay there for at least 15 years para na kay retirement. So for example, love kay nimo mahimong pastor or ganahan jud kay ka nga naka sa missions. Nya later on pagka 40 na nimo, adto na ka naka-realize na ala mag public school teacher lang ko be para naasad ko'y money in the future as I retire. So guys, be mindful that you need to at least have 15 years of service to get the retirement from the GSIS or SSS. But if you get like, if you plan later on, later na ka naka-realize imong midlife crisis, no, according to Eric Erickson, that you wanted to be a public school teacher, then 5 years na lang, better not do it. Better serve it in a mission field or ano na lang. So the longer you stay there in the public environment or sector, then the better is the retirement pay. But that's only strategy one. Because strategy two is that even if you're in a public school and then your amount of money or salary is not really that big, as like 35,000, if you're so good with insurance, you save for your insurance, you save for your tithing, you save for a specific money, and you spend activities that is not beyond your budget, then you can probably be richer than those public school teachers. Because sometimes I have friends here, they would even chat me on an earthly hour asking for money, borrowing for money because dugay kay ang sweldo sa public. Wala kayo pa na release ang PBB bonus and all the bonuses that they have, and they don't basically get these things done so swiftly or fast. So you need to be mindful also, guys, if you want to be a public school teacher or if you want to be a private school teachers. But if you plan abroad, you only need to take 3 to 2 or 3 years in your field serving here in the Philippines, and you can probably work abroad. But if you're a preschool teacher, if you're sped teachers, you can just apply after your graduation. You can apply abroad and then they will hire you. But for other majors like values ed, PE, you need to have at least 2 to 3 years exposure here in the Philippines to be able to work like in United States, in other countries, or alike. So kamo din ha guys, you need to choose if you plan to work abroad. Be associated this time. Try to work in a school, even if it's online or side part-time, kumbaga. So the other specifications and things that we can be reminded of for a public school teacher is the number of hours. So the number of hours and the remuneration that they have is that they really need to enjoy their duties as a teacher. Di ba lain sad kayong dili ka happy nga teacher ka na sige ra kag kuan din ha, maoy-maoy. So although we can see this one already that it's different, especially with the workload that is being given for our teachers who are in the field. So the hours of work should be tantamount to the salary that they have. So teachers also needs to enjoy their physical exam. So every now and then there's a specific time within the year to check the health of the teacher, and he or she should have medical treatment if possible. Like in our school, we usually do it on December, and if you do not go to a physical examination, you will not be able to get the bonus because there's like a bonus or 30th month pay in our school. But the requirement is to really make sure that you are healthy physically, and all those medical expenses, medical examinations will be done and administered by you. And it's actually free. It's a right of the teacher to be examined for free, paid by their school. But some schools, they don't have it. Next, salary scale. So the salary scale of the teacher differs. Like for example, if you are going to be a public school right now, the entry salary is probably 12,000 to 15,000. But for small schools, maybe mga 10,000 lang, something like that. But if you'll be in a public school, then the better. If you'll be in a university, the better also. Because they have many students, they will give you a good pay, higher pay. Now, salary scale. So as you work in there for 3 years, you uh, have some increments of your master's program, you finish some units in master degree program, then it will increase time to time. And just like me, when I applied abroad, actually the number of units that you take in your master degree program will be multiplied to a certain percentage or certain salary scale. So kamo guys, school lagi mo masteral ha, by hook or by crook. School lagi mo. Because it's plus points, especially if you wanted to become a teacher in another country. Next one. So granting also for the cost of living. So sometimes public school teachers will have increased number of salary if they live in a particular area. For example, you lived in the city, taga Basak yun ka, Basak Cebu City. But then when you try to apply in the Department of Education, the only opening is in Sirao. Asa mo Sirao, di ba? Bukid, layo kaayo. So they will probably give you hazard pay, and even a specific amount. I don't know what are the titles about that, but I knew that there is specific additional for that allowances or for your cost of living. It's also the same when you try to apply in a call center. Diba? If you will be a call center agent, if you are in a morning shift, this is your specific fee. For example, 25,000. But if you will be in the graveyard shift, there's like additional hazard pay because, of course, you're not sleeping in the regular number of hours. So, time to time, teachers can give you, the teachers or even your supervisors will give you this cost of living allowances. And if we speak regarding teachers who are working in Singapore, I know for my friends, they are actually receiving like 80,000 for their salary, and they have free school. So in the upper part of their school, that is where they live, and in the bottom part, that is their school actually. So it's good because they are They're just there. They don't have much expenses for their house, especially if you work in Japan or in Singapore school. In Singapore environment, they have specific housing programs for the teachers who are working there, but they only offer it to preschools and to some English teachers. Now, there's also additional compensation of service if they have excess of 6 hours of their actual teaching. So teachers are actually required to at least, diba, 8 hours of working. So 6 hours in a day, that's for teaching, for discussion program. For the two remaining 2 hours, it can either be paperworks or you prepare something there for your slides for your presentation. But needless to say, in any schools that you go, there is a 6 hour actual classroom teaching environment that is required for us. Ah, okay. But if that is beyond, like, the mandated number of hours, it's upon the discretion of the school, or especially here in Cebu, we have some Korean schools, Japanese schools. They can really entail a lot of longer number of hours nga kapoy kaayo ka, dugay kaayo ka mahuman sa imong klase niya, gamay pa jud kayo pay. So be wise when you applies to school. Sometimes ma-excite ka, yes, maka-work na gyud ko Lord, or na-excited ka nga ma-hire na gyud ko. Wala naman ko ilain teacher netik, mo yes na lang ko ani. Sometimes we need to sacrifice if we are like first timers to become teachers, but it's good than wala tay work, 'di ba? But be wise when you choose whatever wherever you will be working, and of course prayers, guys, grabe good kayo na. So if you will be a public school teachers, guys, here are the amount of money and the loans that you can have in the future. First, there is a basic salary for standardization for all the teachers. So first, kay teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, master teacher 1, M2, M3, and then you'll be super rich na if you'll be a principal. So there's a specific standard number of salary. And then every year, they also receive their clothing allowances because for their uniforms or the things that they need to buy in preparation for the beginning of the school year. Then they also have productivity pay. Actually, this one already increased to 5,000. So what is productivity pay? So this that is actually the payment where, for example, in that particular district, my classroom is one of the highest standard performers during the assessment. So muna si teacher sometimes, di na siya mag-discuss, magpa-bright na lang siya sa iyang mga students, mag-train siya sa iyang mga students that when they do the assessment, when they do have the exam, dapat kani mo ang classmates diri ha, makabalog yun yung answer. Because mag-exchange pa na si teacher. Example, lara ko sa Basak, nag-teach in my public school. I will administer the test. I will exchange my test day, exam day with the teacher in Lapu-Lapu. So exchange me kita place. So if my class will get high score, I will have productivity pay. So the higher the scores of my children, the higher pud ang salary or additional pay sa ako. So mo na siya nang hitabo karon mga teachers. Ya maro man ang mga teachers kay pinon man sila nga kaning dili kayo ka mao kay sit na ni together sa kanang bright kay pakpiyahan na imong classmate hanep. Pakpiyahan na imong classmate ini ka exam. Ya, memorize na ning mga answer key. Di ba? Kay maram sa kay si teacher. E bas, hindi ka ba pa ang mga bata? Basta dako ang iyang productivity pay. Next one, they have vacation pay. Sana all may vacation pay. Kasi si teacher neti pag magbabakasyon, walang pay. In the private schools, we don't get pay. They also have 13th month pay. If you be in a public school, dami-dami na mga bonuses. Aside from the bonuses from either the mayors or from the government officials, they still receive that one because they also serve, diba, during election time. If magpa-campaign ka, labi na teacher, public school, if you go out in the mercado, in the grocery, daghan kay kagkaila, uy, yeah, what if musay ka o particular candidate, especially next year, it's upcoming, there will be election. So kung say sulti ni teacher mo, kani akong kandidato, kani akong pilion kay so and so. So daghan kay ma-influensya kayo si teacher. Labi naglamion kay ka nga teacher, yan tigulang na ka elder kay ka nga teacher, and your credibility is there. You will really have an influence. Next, we also receive study leave or sabbatical leave, the one that I told you. So if you will be um, joining, for example, like any scholarships program being granted, then you'll be able to leave at least the school year, but still getting some pay, and then you'll be a scholar. Then for the maternity leave, of course, kanang mga magminyo din nga teacher, panganak tayon mo. Because you'll be given the 60 days or 100 day na ni siya. 100 day for sure for leave with pay. And also, if you're a boy, if you're a man, male, daddy, you have 7 working days at least. You still have time to process all those necessary requirements for your daughter or for your child or for your wife alike. And there's also indefinite leave, the one that I've told you regarding kanang uso man ni karon kaning indefinite leave kana bitaw mo work abroad nya mo balik ra siya diri because syempre na diri ang family or dili siya kagwanta siguro sa particular country that is working on with, so there's an indefinite leave, so you can file that one. So there are also loans being offered to the public school teachers, such as salary loan for 1 month, either 3 months, 5 months, or 8 months. So even if you're still working in 1 week, you can actually be granted at least 200 to 500,000 nga loan. Oh, inana teacher na ti, yes. Just like my friend. Second day pa lang ganin niya, nag-loan na siya. Nag-chika pa siya sa ako, ah. Nati, kuyog ta dito sa kuan land bank basta ka ng green bank pag unsa man ta besh magkuha daw mig 200,000 ha kada ko ba ana ya nagpatukod sila og balay. But then if you will be receiving your salary mo na minus minus sad lagi, so there are also some policy loans, especially if you are asked to do some um, it's actually a loan that is given to our teachers only in a public school. There's also pag-ibig loan for those who are up to building their houses, emergency loan for like calamities, mga medical expenses, just like what we have right now, and then the calamity loan that we have. Emergency loan, especially kanang ma-fire on fire or um, something happened to the family, so they can have that one. And if you're a public school teacher, wag yun daghang yaw as long as you present your ID, the necessary requirements, then you'll be granted. So what are those Education Act of 1982. So we have this one. So the act provide for the establishment and the maintenance of the integrated system of our education. So this means that from the Bureau of Elementary Education that we have right now, there are different boards of directors. There is a hierarchy of the people and personnel who would be mandating the people in the Department of Education to do these things, to print these things, and then have the memo. So in if you'll be a public school teacher, na sila daghan kaayo endless memo nga ipanghatag. And good thing right now we can even have access on them in the portals in the Department of Education. Pwede nimo ma-check time to time. Another thing is that they have a lot of training, national training, napana sila yung mga by district, by division to really level up their advocacy, their skills, and their requirement for national development. Just like today, if you have a public school teacher there, you would know that they are busy in their inset. And even if you're not a public school teacher, you can have an access. Like me, I'm so blessed. Kamao din ninyong gipang learn, ha? Okay, kabaw na ba ni? Pero dapat maka-learn sa mga ni teacher. So, it's good that it is accessible, but I really hope that our friends in the public schools right now can really have just time to rest. Okay, nangaluya na yun sila. So what are the other rights that they have? So paspasan na to guys. So first, the right to receive competent instruction and relevant quality education. So if you happen to check this time, do you think it is competent? Do they have relevant quality instruction given? Yes, no, maybe. We don't know because I'm not a public school teacher. Right to freely choose their field of study. Sometimes no, because kung unsa ra ang available, like for instance, you're a values ed teacher. Yang hiring nila kay PE teacher. Moingon ka, sorry, we don't do that here. I am a Bible study student. PE, kung gid ma'am, kanang pang religious ed ra gid ako kung pwede dawaton ma'am. Dili pwede mo na no, it's a no-no guys. You really need to accept whatever open subject is there for you, and whatever is being offered to you, kumbaga, it's like yes, yes, yes. So it's like good to say yes, and then you figure out later, especially ka ng mga newbie, because the competition for becoming a teacher right now is very tight. You imagine you are a fresh grad. You are a fresh grad from BTC, but here comes another person who is already an engineer, but he wanted to become a teacher. So na siya 1 year no DPE, diploma of professional education. Kay wa man siya na satisfied kay may klaro sometimes iyang work, iyang project, and he wants something stable. So nag-teacher siya kay kailangan siya mag stable iyang job as a teacher. Here comes the newly graduate and the somehow an experienced person. So who do you think will be given the chance to work? Diba? So mostly katugid ang nanay able to be a mature individual emotionally kay kung newbie mga bata karon millennial lakaw ra dayon nig pila ka years dali ra kay ni siya mag-change sa iyang mind kay creative, explorative, discovering a lot of things, and dali kay mapulaan ng mga millennials. That's their labeling, that's their stereotyping for millennials right now. And here comes another person who already back on with so much emotion and can be a model for the children that she will be working into, then mas pilion nila ang mga nag-DPE this time, mind you. Especially, makuyog na ninyo in the interview. Next one is the right to school guidance and counseling services. So mental health issues is one of the number one problem and thing to be combated right now, especially in the war of COVID-19. Mental issues, mental health is really highlighting. They're getting affected. How about you guys? Do we have friends here who are having mental health problem? Not really sharing it to others because mahadlok na, mahadlok ma-judge, mahadlok makasabaan mo sa makaway Kristohanan man ta ka, and you're feeling that way. Diba? It's normal. It's natural, should I say. Mao na siya nga we go back to the basic, go back to the core of really praying, to really talk to God. Because in this time of pandemic, in this new era where the landscape for education really changed, we really need to fight with the Lord. Okay, so teachers, they have the right to go to guidance counselor, to be counseled with, kumusta na ba sila, how are they, basin makalit lang si teacher ko, ano naman, di ba, mahibong na lang ta. Did you hear that one last year? There were a lot of people who are ending their life a teacher because wala niya nakayang pag-submit, pag-print, and all the modules. Student can add up sila requirements, and then teacher is giving them a lot of things. Nagmao yang isa ka millennial. So in the end, luoy kay ang family nga mahabilin. So you guys there, please do not entertain this kind of thoughts. Be strong. Do not let the devil tempt you with these things. If you know some friends who are experiencing these things, just listen. Do not advise, just listen and then pray. Because sometimes these people, those who are experiencing mental health, they don't need advices. They just need someone to let them feel that they are loved, that they are understood, and show that you truly care. Next, teachers also have the right to access his or own records, especially if it's given to the student. So, for example, kamo guys, mangutana mo sa inyong grades sa teacher. Imo na si teacher nga, you are very disrespectful. Di nakamuto sa akong reliability and validity of my grades. Actually, teachers should give you an equal access to your records, but only to your name. Dili kay ipak-show ni ang record ni classmate so and so. Makita na nimo ni ang comparison. And mind you, students right now, since they know that they have this right, they can be very demanding. Teacher, why did my score is like this? Was it not enough for you? Oh, kalamira or mga rubrics. Okay, they know how they stand, how they value with their kind of work. Sometimes they would question us. Okay, so in the future, kamusad, baka experience mo ani, right to issuance of official documents within 30 days from request. Hello. So for example, you will be requesting your TOR, Yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm not really so familiar with your TOR. Di ba kay murag mo adto pa nag Mindanao? Yan na dito ang murag mo sign. I'm not sure kay silang Catherine dugay kay sila ani nakakuha sa ilang TOR. Yeah. Usually it's needed when you apply for sa PRC, 'di ba? Do you know this issue or ako lang nakabaw? Something like that. Basta you should have at least within 30 days of your request, it will be given to you by the school. Or if dugay gyud no na yung mga kakulian, we try to extend our patience kumbaga. Pero just like getting documents from the government, mas kagyong dugaya gyud Lord. You sanctify us gyud ang mga situations. Then right to publish a school paper. So in a school, it's very rightful if you do have articles, chronicles, mga articles or mga newspapers that can share the activities that you have in your school or the highlights that you have within the year. Then, kani, with great power comes responsibility. Young people right now, since they know that they have the freedom of expressions and their opinion, sometimes masubraan, teacher, taka-taka, o discuss, maybe na wrong. And then, grabe kaayo ang mga students mo comment, post ka din ha, ipagkahuman, kaning si teacher, so niya, gipunan pa dyan sa imong classmate, ni comment pa yun, unya, ni fire na samot, no? So, this freedom of expression, especially us Christians, it should reflect that we speak life, we speak encouragement and positivity into the lives of people who are reading it. Because mo na yung sa mga Kristohanan man tani si teacher neti ano na yun anak man siya mo post ano kanang it discourages people. So be mindful also. And if you're like a student who is a Christian, so be also careful on the way you express. So, 'di ba, if in the educational technology, I told you to live a clean digital footprint, meaning the things that you like, the thing that you post, the thing that you upload, it's there forever. So be careful with it. Even if you're in rage or in anger, ako bitaw, sometimes masuko na ako sa akong mga estudyante or even sa government, but I don't blurt it out. You don't wash your dirty clothes on public, especially family issues. You deal it with your family. You don't share it on public. You don't sometimes we see a lot of people who are doing this. Are you also like this, guys? I-message ko privately. Kana bitong nasuko ka ni so and so. I-post na yun na kamo din ha. Daghan kay mga profanity and all the words that are really not so accepting in a society. So what will happen? People will have uh, an idea somehow. We know sa din isip ko, friend, dapat ko lang friend, ang puso mo, di ba? Sometimes pag yung people, they don't know, it's like scratching in the surface. They only see the thing that you post, but they really didn't see the iceberg, what is going on around in the real story about that one. And in the Philippines, Rabba, we have two kinds of cyberbullying, the personal bullying, cyberbullying, and the mob bullying. Kabantay mo katong naatoy isa ka social influencer letter B so to yung name oy katong about sa tricycle driver but to iyahagi comment and then he posted something and then all the entire Philippines commented about it. And right now there's a famous rapper. He had his own story of the Philippines and Magellan and Lapu-Lapu came to the Philippines and he didn't study his culture and history and then he was even commented na cyberbully na siya a lot of people. So don't be part of those individuals because you have the freedom of speech. You just share. Now you also have the right to join any form of establishment organization. So students will have that right, but teachers should be influential because there are so many organizations, there's so many groups that can arise and can be inclusive to the children. And if they don't know who are these people who can be helpful to them, they can easily be put into harm. Diba, good thing lang sa atua kay nata sa BTC because we are surrounded with influential people, godly people. But how much more if ikaw nakasagawas, if imong school nga applyan later on na di mga frat, na mga sorority, yung mga nakanilaguan, i-prayer na nato. Sometimes di man na nila makonect because they cannot be so accepting on religious activities or even Jesus. Diba si Jesus gani when his time daghan kayo nag-question niya, how much more kita bearers, messengers of Jesus, the more ta mo stand. So our students also they have the right to be free from involuntary contribution. So mo na ka ng mga volunteer work, dili ka pwede mo ingon nga okay for those who will volunteer here you'll be given 100 points. O wrong na siya nga behavior ni teacher, no? Wrong na siya nga habit for the teacher to do that one. But sometimes this is the only way where we can get volunteers from our students. Okay, now at this time we'll have 15-minute break if you're still okay in there because taas-taas pa ni nice kani ang atong Republic Act. Now, can you comment in there on the chat box? Any questions so far? We will have a break from 7, from 8. I still have much time. Wait, 8 until 8. Let me see. Sige, we'll have a short break, 15 minutes only. Then we'll be back at 8:15. Okay, deal or no deal? Yes, deal. But before I have a break, do you have any question, clarification? Are you getting my topic for today, for tonight? Give me a thumbs up. Okay pa ka, okay pa ba mo din ha? Oh, 7 na lang ta. Sige. Okay. And then prepare your questions later on. We'll have a short minute break lang for this time. Okay, I'll just have water break.
Si Marge. Ate Marge. Ate Marge. Ate Marge. Ate Marge. Di ulit nakas inyo, te.
Uy, break pa, break. Ano ba yan? Ay, na-stress ko sa signal, uy.
15 minutes break, Panep.
Shell. Michelle,
Ay,
musta man ang ikon?
ikon jud. Sayon raman.
Ay, sana all sa yon.
Sayon ra ba og solve sa katong nakagets na ko. Sige, sige kung totok ta kung kuha raman ko. Katong sa graph gani katong utility maximization.
Oo.
Oo, nakakuha ra ko.
Dex. Marginal utility, nakapas ka na?
Oo.
Sana all.
Sa quiz man god.
Hindi ka sa exam ba?
O ba mo na human?
Ay, exam, ang akong pasabot.
Naghimo pag graph.
Tay, musta man ang exam, sayon ra?
Ha?
Sayon ra ang exam.
Sayon naman, pero nag-struggle ko kato paghimo og katong graph kay mawala magud siya, i-save na ko ba katong
Ay, ang bot,
maghimo
zero
ta.
bytes naman.
Ha? Sa graph ba katong gi ko ani man tong demand og katong supply. Ako pa ipas unya tadaod na.
Nag-struggle ka og?
Drawing sa katong graph gani katong supply sa demand.
Sa supply and demand?
Oo. Giawit na ko himo kay kung unahon ako siya ya the rest
Okay.
wala pa ko human og answer kay ma-move man siya mahibilin katong drawing.
Hi. Laasa naman ang uban. Oy, kita ra duwating classmates ba?
Kita ra dai.
Ay, si Ate Marian, papod na.
Wala na siya economics at Mirian.
Ay lagi, kita ra gyud duwa.
Oo. Wala ko ikon
Si Maria kay easy ra ni niya ang econ last time. Ay nako, 800 na po ang byte. Wala yun kaabot og 1 MB nga rin.
Ha? Ganap?
Wala gaabot og 1 Mbps diri sa moa. Hinay kaayong signal.
Hangin-hangin man po din, he.
Kay kung usual man good, mag-attend ko sa klase ni teacher net, mo adto ko sa akong auntie nga house.
Hain man day karon.
Naas na po hinay kaayong signal.
Ah,
Flat 1 ko ay concerned.
Yes.
Flat 1 ko ikon.
Unsang icon nimo?
flat 1 eh.
Flat
Dako.
1.
Wow.
Sana all.
Dako mag
Ingon ko lagi.
dako magugagtang.
Ari na ka nagwag ikonte or sa gawas?
Ari, Ma'am Angel. Balik man ko
Ay,
kay
sana
gamong
all.
ikon sa gawas. Di, balik ko kamo ikon sa gawas kay ano? Kanang kulang ba sa job description? Course description. Dili,
Joke,
99
ma-apply
ra
ka
ko,
na sa
uy.
trabaho. Sa 99?
99 ra ko, uy.
Nagabiha, o 99 po. Di
Wow.
unsa na ni
Sana all.
na all jud.
Dayon naman jud ang ikon pero kuan siya daghan na babuhat ma'am.
Lagi, mas lisuran ko karon sa
Wala.
online compare sa
Lisod ang online kay magpangpaw, maluya na lang kaog pa ng paminos yang lecture.
Dili jud di man jud ka kumpara
Tapos
ang
dili pa ko
live
dili
nga
ka
klase oy
pangutana
kanang
kay
nakas
YouTube
so-
man.
YouTube di ay mo?
Oh, YouTube o di Facebook niya. Matital ba ta usahay kino kanang i-move ba.
Ipos dili klase kami balang.
Lep,
Dili day mo Zoom.
dili mi Zoom ti. Kabaw ka ti mahilig ra gyud Zoom no Sister Ben ra gyud. Mag-Zoom ra mi kanang
So kanang klase
recorded.
kanang klase i-upload nila ngadto.
Oo, recorded ang uban usahay kay
Ah,
maghatag
okay.
lang og kanang file nga basahon na mo, nya kami mo answer. Yeah.
Yes, what are you talking about? Would you like to
Oh,
Ang experience ma'am sa among class.
ma'am.
which class?
Tanan sa among
I-
BTC class.
I'm actually planning to have a psychology. I don't know if you're familiar with it. So it's like there is a video, for example, and then you will answer quizzes after the video, and it will automatically check it by itself. But then you need to download the psychology app. So I don't know if you're agreeable with it, or you will just be available to Google Classroom. What do you think, guys?
Download na lang na.
In our school,
Download na lang ma'am.
we actually have in our school, we call it the Bright Space Learning Management System. So my students, I do pre-recording with my lessons, and then after that, like after 15 minutes of me talking, listening to me, they will answer a little quiz, and they cannot proceed to the next video if they will not answer it, and they will be given questions. But it's actually in the school system that we have. I really wanted you to experience that one, but then I don't know how to do it on your end. So whatever is flexible, whatever
Download pa ma'am.
commendable on your end, please advise me, please inform me, give me suggestions so that we can do it together. Okay, let me continue. So, another Republic Act, which is 7722. After this, or maybe tomorrow, I can give you the questions and then you will identify again who is the highest in our quiz, just like Anna. She was the highest in our last quiz. Okay, so the Republic Act of this 7722, it granted especially for the CHED, or the Commission on Higher Education, which is very independent from the Department of Education. So this includes just like the colleges or SUCs or the state universities. Okay, so it covers both the public school and the private institutions for the higher education. So SUCs, state universities, and we also have the private institutions. They have their own specific discretion and mandates for their school. But if you have, for example, center of excellence na ganyang isa ka school, they have their autonomous power to their institution or department. Okay. It also authorizes the CHED, especially in the higher education, to have the specific curriculum offered or the syllabus or the prospectus, kumbaga, provided that they also follow what are those mandated by the uh, CHED, Commissioner on Higher Education. So why is this helpful also? This another Republic Act, diba, 7722, we also have 7796. So this is the creation of the TESDA, which I really wanted you guys to get involved, get in touch and enroll, because this is for free and you can it can really help you with your vocational skills. So TESDA, which means Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, which was created in I forgot what is a specific year for this one, but what I know is that their efficient technical education will really help us to be able to find jobs at the same time, to be manpowered into skills that are highly paid abroad. So I have a friend before, she used to be a SPED major with me. We graduated, but after a year, she joined TESDA, and you know what course she got? She did the housekeeping. So for 6 months, she studied housekeeping. She was so good with the folding, with all those skills in housekeeping. And then eventually she worked in Japan for a hotel. And right now she's the owner of the hotel because the owner, the Japanese, find her very humble, very efficient in her work, and very honest. And the Japanese fell in love with her. And no joke, guys. Si Yujui tag-iyaron sa hotel. And time to time, she would inform me to if I knew someone who are in need of help, especially in this time, those ones to work in Japan for either receptionist or to be part of the hotelier, then just message her down. She lives in Shibuya. You know where is Shibuya? It's where Hachiko's statue is there. If you know Hachiko, the famous dog known for his loyalty and respect, that is where it is, Shibuya. Okay, so another Republic Act is 7836. So we have so many Republic Act, no, but this one is so important because time to time they would ask you about this one. So this is about the licensure examination for teachers, or the LET. This is the law that governs ano naman jud tay LET kahasol o kasamok ba ani, because someone created that one, the mandatory, which is 7836. I still remember. So it describes that everyone who would graduate for a teacher field or bachelor's degree should get their licensure examination and will be duly licensed to have dignity and reputation, especially in their application. So it actually provides 2 years for the person to have no no PRC yet, as long as within that year you will take your licensure examination. Mabito na ang uban nga hello, wala pa man siya nakapasa ulit. Why is she here serving or teaching? Because it's actually allowed in the Republic Act. So why do we have these things? Why is it very necessary to have these credentials, accreditations for the teacher? Number one, it's for the promotion. Of course, we only allowed those who are really able to achieve the standard of becoming a teacher to teach other individuals because we're actually sharing knowledge. We're imparting different cognitive experiences to our students. And if you're not knowledgeable enough, if you didn't qualify for the standards, how can you be a teacher? Diba? So that's why even if people they would be taking 10 times or like 15 times doing their lat and they are still not able to do it, there is a sanction that they will not be hired anymore or they will not be allowed to be administered with the licensure examination. So that is why, guys, you really need to study when you do your net. It's not a joke. And aside from it's not a joke, you will be exerting your effort, your time, and your money because you will be preparing at least 1,000 to do the registration, to do your preparations to study. And if you wanted to enroll to a review center, it would cost you like 8 to 10,000 for the review. Then another thing is that we are given with this net in order the teachers will be supervised and regulation. So every 3 years you will be accredited to renew your licensure examination. So, diba, for example, when there is a doctor and then the doctor is not licensed, diba, ma-shock ka, uy, ganun lang, ano mo kung doctor, same also in teaching. You need to be registered, you need to be licensed, and it's also helpful because aside that they will be giving us some trainings, they will be giving us some seminars, workshops. It is also a way to accredit that all teachers are undergoing some development and professionalization. Okay, so another activity that was being upheld in the Department of Education was calling it the board, the Act of Board for Professional Teachers. The one that I've told you that the let has been changing its time over and over, but now it's a left. So they call it Act of Board for Professional Teachers in 1994. Then eventually it was changed. So there are things also to be done, especially in the examination under the Article 3 of Section 13. So first is written examination given at least once a year. So a valid certification is needed for the teachers. Don't you know that if you're having a Latin honor like cum laude, magna cum laude, you are not to get any civil service. Actually, you just have to present your TOR and then you get your civil service in there if you want to work in a government offices. But if you already got your PRC, you don't need to get the civil service licensure. And also when you apply abroad, you don't need to retake some of those exams that they have if you are already a PRC teacher here in the Philippines. Next, for some elementary level, there are two parts, namely, you know this one, the Prof Ed and the General Education. And for you guys, you have three things: professional education, general education, and specialization. And you know that every part has 150 items for you to study or to go over about, right? So are you excited? So right now, we don't have specific time frame yet for the September licensure examination, but hopefully we need to keep an eye if it's already June because they will be giving slots for the opening for the applications. And hopefully your TORs will be available. So who are those applicants? Of course, number one, you should be a citizen of the Philippines or an alien of a country with reciprocity. So especially if there are people who are getting the exam either in Hong Kong, in Dubai, because we also offer those kind of tests. Sometimes gani they take the exam advanced or sometimes late. And so there's like a very thin line of cheating or integrity issues. I don't know. So at least if you take your let 18 years old with good health and with good reputation and with high moral standards, especially. So what will happen? So has not been convicted to any judgment of any crime, any offense, and a graduate of school, either a college, university, recognized by the government, especially for the child. And then, what are the minimum educational qualifications? So, for a teacher in preschool, at least she's an ECE teacher or DPE teacher who graduated. And then for elementary teachers, of course, she or he should be in BE Ed. You know, when you try to apply abroad, here in the Philippines, both elementary and secondary, we have MAPE, diba? And then with MAPE, they can either teach music, arts, PE, health. If you will apply outside, and if you will say, for example, I am a BE Ed MAPE, they will not accept you because in the States, it's specific. So if you want to apply and you're a PE teacher, you will be applying B and PE so that your credentials will be met and it will be accredited. Now, for teachers like you who are in secondary, a bachelor's degree can either be a values education and you need to get 18 units as what I've mentioned a while ago. So maybe if there's an opportunity for you to be enrolled for master's program, please do so. So how can this issuance of certificate of PRC be done? First, the registration of the professional teachers commenced once they would be enrolled in the class roosters in the professional education, meaning ka na mag-oath taking. That is where your life start as a licensed teacher. And what will they do? Can you remember those times when your friends had their black and white and they were really having their mock exam? We will also have that one in our end. So mag-mock exam sa tagay sa May atong mock exam. So you need to prepare for that one. Now, let's proceed to some code of ethics for professional teachers. So what are code of ethics? So it underlines with these 10 specific principles. So this is a lot. I think you've undergo already this topic before. Did you discuss this code of ethics before with your teachers, guys? Okay, no problem. So the code of ethics includes the teacher and the state. What is her role? We also have the teacher and the profession, the teacher and the community, the school officials, at the same time, the other personnel, the teacher and the learners, teacher as a person, teacher in a higher authorities in a profession, the teacher and the business, oh, not by business and teacher, the teacher and the parent, which is we need to work hand in hand with them, and the teacher and the teaching community. Who are they? They are the students. So first, we'll try to go with one by one. So we also have our inner code of ethics preamers, like a promise or the expectation of a teacher. So teachers are duly licensed professionals who possess dignity and reputation, Rabino Bugata Daino, with high moral values as well as the technical and professional competence. So in the practice of our noble profession, which is teaching, they strictly adhere as to observe practice of a set ethical and moral principles, standards, and of values. So, okay lang ba na mag-TikTok si teacher din, ha? Okay lang? What do you think? Okay lang si teacher um, mag-joke or there's profanity? Let them go back here. Maybe they were absent during the time of the discussion of the code of ethics because remember, social learning theory of Albert Bandura entails modeling. If our people right now sees us as a mediocre, like clown of the town and all those laughing stuff, then maybe in the future we are just creating teachers who are just clowns, who are entertainers. And that is not teaching is all about. Teaching is really imparting knowledge. And for my own opinion, although it's nice to be um, having this positive in environment or having these positive vibes that we see online, but sometimes there are students who can find these films or these clips as their gospel truth. Like for example, is that how you do the musicality of a particular song? What if the students will be copying that one? Is that how you uh, give a response to your teacher? And mind you, this reflects also to the society that we are honing in the future. So we really need to do something about it. So the code of ethics also reminds us with the scope. It covers all the public and the private school teachers, so mainly all of us who will be teachers in the future, from preschool, elementary, from primary, from secondary, academic, non-formal. So the teacher includes industrial arts and even all the persons working in the supervision, administration, full-time or part-time basis. So let's try to read this one at a time. I will ask you to read Anna if you're still there. Oh, we only have 5 people left in our Mary Ann. Can I ask you to read Mary Ann number 1?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Number 1, the schools are the nurseries of the future citizens of the state. Each teacher is a trustee of the cultural and educational heritage of the nation and is under obligation to transmit to learners such heritage as well as to elevate national morality, promote national pride, cultivate love of country, instill allegiance to the Constitution of and respect for all duly constituted authorities, and promote obedience to the laws of the state.
Okay, thank you for that one. To remember, our role as a teacher entails as a model of having this national morality, promote national pride, cultivate the love of country and allegiance to our constitution. So if you're a teacher there who discriminates the government and you bluntly, because of your freedom of expressions, you just posted their words that are beyond on the things that are should be exposed by a teacher, then I'm telling you, teachers should really need to go back to this code of ethics. Another thing is second, teachers should have the interests of the state and the Filipino people as much of their own. So we should be physically, mentally, and morally fit. So muna important jud kayo ang mental health sa teacher, no? And also to be physically fit. Kaya if si teacher tapulan ka ayo, daghan kay sakit-sakit, unsa na lang niya pag-teach in the following day. So that is why she should be very healthy as well, or not very healthy, but somehow able to be physically able to teach, then morally fit. What if na si teacher din how niya kuan din na siya? What is your stand between they discover the teacher is a girl to girl, boy to boy, or si teacher kay manawag din na siya mga student, and then students who are failing in his class and he would do something with him, diba? There's this story of that case sa ipaglalaban mo si student, giuyab siya ni teacher kay hagbungunon kayo siya, and he was doing the ROTC, and then later on si teacher na boy who is like the commandant of the ROTC, it happened that there was another girl and that girl really flunked his ROTC, and so he invited the girl in his house. It was scary kayo, no? And he was about to be molested. Yeah. Moto, kikihan nila ang teacher. And then eventually, when it was in the middle of the trial court, the teacher really deny everything. But good thing there were also other people who were there to really attest that he was a maniac teacher. So scary, and it might be scary, but there are a lot of teachers who are like this. We just don't know. A teacher also should not engage in the promotion of any political, religious, and other partisan interests, and shall not directly or indirectly solicit, require collection, or receive money or service other than valuable material from any other person such as purpose. So in here, I'm actually a bit of a rebel because, di ba, kailangan man ta promote sa ato ang faith by telling them about Jesus and to be really sharing to them the gospel. So in our school, in USJR, what I usually do is that I embed some lessons, like religious lessons, in my lessons in a subtle way. not really imposing it because pwede man ko matangtangan og trabaho kay among school. The school that I'm working right now is a Catholic school, and we always believe in, those things. But for my students, I would present to them the truth. It's very hard for me, guys, because I have several students who were very close to me before, but then when they knew that I stand against LGBT, against abortion, against idolatry, they were not my friends anymore. But mo na ang giingon sa Bible, di ba? So you should really be out of the fence, but really choose, are you on the world or are you on the side of Jesus? And just like yesterday, we celebrated the 50th year of Christianity. So it's very ironic because it's not really Christianity, right? What is your take with that one? Celebrating the 50th first celebration of Christianity in the Philippines. So another thing is that every teacher shall vote and shall exercise all other constitutional rights and responsibilities. So you should encourage all the teachers to be um, volunteers also time to time if their help is needed, and they should not use their position to be of influence to coerce the person in the political side. Now, what is the role of the teacher in the community? So the teacher, every teacher has to provide leadership. Mo na, sometimes si teacher magtawagon kung may mag-away sa mga barangay, or si teacher ang tawagon to witness, because teacher would be holding as a leader to initiate peace, civic betterment, involvement. So kung si teacher din hapalaaway para liba kaayo, she's not actually performing the kind of expectation for the teacher. Teacher also should help in the school to keep the people informed with the school work. So dapat si teacher also should be helpful, friendly, kumbaga sa community, and social recognition. That is why si teacher dapat dili siya gastarol. O dili siya kanang bitaw mo apil sa mga gambling. Siguro si teacher ilado kayo mag-smoke, palahubog, or kanang grabe kayo siya on certain things. So it's actually a no-no for the teacher to have that one. Now, let's have someone to read this one. Michelle, it's your turn to read. Go, Michelle.
Yes, number one, every teacher shall actively help ensure that teaching is the noblest profession and shall manifest genuine enthusiasm and pride in teaching as a noble calling. Continue, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
Number two, every teacher shall participate in the Continuing Professional Education or CPE program of the Professional Regulation Commission and shall pursue such other studies as will improve his efficiency, enhance the prestige of the profession, and strengthen his competence, virtues, and productivity in order to be nationally and internationally competitive. Third, every teacher shall use the teaching profession in a manner that makes it a dignified means of earning a decent living.
Okay, thank you for that one. So teaching is the noblest profession. If you want to be rich, you cannot get it from here. You cannot be monetarily rich in teaching. Kung ano man, teaching is giving you just enough amount of money, but you will be rich in having more children. You will be helping with, especially molding their future. Next one is every teacher should participate in the CPE, continuing professional education. Mo na na yung mga CPD units, there are seminars, there is a PAFTE that we need to be enrolled. Then we should use teaching as a means to get a decent living. Basta moral, marangal, at legal. Diba? So in every profession, this is what we are actually expected to, okay? Your turn to read. Can we hear from you, Mary Jane?
Yes, ma'am. Number one, every teacher shall make it his duty to make an honest effort to understand and support the legitimate policies of the school and the administration, regardless of personal feeling or private opinion, and shall faithfully carry them out. Number two, a teacher shall conduct all official business through channels except when special conditions warrant a different procedure, such as when reforms are advocated but are opposed by the immediate supervisor, in which case the teacher shall appeal directly to the appropriate higher authority.
Thank you for that. So, can you see the teacher should be honest at all corners wherever she is positioned with? And another thing is that they should transact with transparency with any offices, any activities for business as they continue to procure whatever is needed for their activities. Another thing is that teachers should be part of a group where they have the right to seek the injustices or discrimination. But there are some teachers maybe they also undergone some bullying of the students, some malicious acts, especially kanang siksik kay nga teacher no niya ano na sa mong pasiksi oy. So mabully na siya sa mga students or di ba remember that um news where there was a student teacher and she was raped by five people, by five of her students. Sad ka, you know. She was a ano unta, nice teacher siguro in the future, but then boys had a different agenda against her. Now, every teacher has the right to invoke the principle of appointments, promotions, and transfer of teachers are made only on the basis of merit and need of the interest of service. So that is true. That is why you need to study so that you can also get promotion because promotion means higher number of your salary or increase of your salary. Okay, now this time I will ask Anna Maria to read. Anna Maria.
Ma'am?
Your turn to read, Anna
Ma'am?
Maria.
Number 1, ma'am.
Yes po.
Okay. All school officials shall at all times show professional courtesy, helpfulness, and sympathy towards teachers and other personnel. Such practices being standards of effective school supervision, dignified administration, responsible leadership, and enlightened direction.
Okay, so with this professional courtesy, for example, so teacher to teacher, you should be respecting them. So the standard should be kana di ta manglibak no sa atong mga co-teachers. They should be upheld in a respected manner because we're responsible for our behaviors also. Next, school officials, teachers, and other personnel shall consider their cooperative responsibility. So dapat sad we will be respecting our subordinates and our leaders. Another thing is that we are encouraged by our bosses to really join professional growth. You can either be a speaker, you can either be the participant, or you can be the host. And then no school officials shall dismiss or recommend for dismissal of teacher other than for a specific cause. Okay, pero ubang teachers ma'am neti kay manglibak man. Yes, maybe no, they need to be reminded of the code of ethics. Para mo spread og mga bad things. Now, a teacher shall recognize that the interest and the welfare of the learners are our first and foremost concern. Mo na our first customers as a teacher is our students and they should be deal with just impartiality with each of them, meaning walay favoritism, pero sometimes na jud ni favoritism oy. True, because sometimes ako gani ma-reminded ko hala, am I playing favorites? So everyone should have equal, kumbaga pero na jud ni mga duol sa pitik sa heart sa teacher. Another thing is that under no circumstances shall a teacher be prejudiced nor discriminatory against any learner. So dapat daw every learner should be accepted in her classroom. Another thing is that teacher shall not accept any favors or gifts from learners. Okay lang mo accept po gifts basta wala siya exchange of any favor. Baka man, ma'am, baka naman gusto mo ng isang lechon para sa first honor ang aking anak. 'Di ba? Ma'am, baka naman gusto mo ng mga pa-beauty products basta 100 points akong anak, ma'am. 'Di ba? Or ma'am, gusto kag 38 karat gold, ma'am. Basta secure na ning position sa akong kuan, ma'am, ha. Cum laude. Ah, 'di ba? Kahadlok na lang. Pero I think there are teachers who are like that, no? Ma-bribe, mahatagan og gifts. So, mao ni siya. Next, a teacher should not accept directly or indirectly any remuneration from tutorials other than what is authorized for such service. So this is what they call as moonlighting. Kana bitaw teacher ka ani nga school. Unya nag-teach pagid ka ani nga school. Na wala ka nagpa-inform. Mao na yung moonlighting pero ni-teach ka on your duty hours. For instance, ako teacher kintay ko sa USJR. Unya dili ko mag-teach in 1 to 5 kay ari ko mag-teach sa BTC. Oh, that's no. That's already against the law. Okay? So, in a situation also, personal experience, were you the favorite Mary Jane? Are you the favorite of the teacher or she has another favorite?
No, ma'am. Kanang tagaan og isda, ma'am, ang maestra. Kay aron nga makuan, ma-honor iyang anak.
Oh, that's not nice practice, no? So in a situation where mutual attraction and subsequent love develop between teacher and the learner, the teacher shall exercise utmost professional discretion to avoid scandal, gossips, and preferential treatment of the learner. So, di ba naman jud nino kana mahibong na lang ka nga, hala, teacher man na ato sa unang nganon, iya naman ang nabana. Okay lang. Okay naman na kay kanang if single si teacher, no, yeah, single put ang learner or ang student, okay lang, but provided that there should be a professional discretion. Kaya basin mag-answer, okay, who wants to answer the equation number 1? Okay, yes, love, paliw kog answer, love B. Oh, wala insad ka, ayun, play na kag, kuan din ha, preferential treatment, or, ay, guys, let's have our physical activities nya si langga nako di lang nako ko anon ha kay murag gikapoy ni siya gabi or kalain di ba sa una lang or um there are students also who will be expressing their love to the teacher murag ma'am I love you tudo kyambol kay ma'am so kana pa yung mga bugoy usually sa inyo ha kung in the future mga senior high school teachers mo na kamo jud una ni on fire kamo jud frontliner ani especially nga gamay ra kay magligas sa mga age sa mga young pupils that you will be under with kani senior high just like in our school nagkauyab gyud unya gitaktak ang teacher kay nga manong gitaktak man mabilang nagkauyab kay lalaki man si teacher niya lalaki man yang una uyab nga na find out man sa principal how tak tak ana siya ikaw sad ni Mary Jane naibog ka sa mga teacher yes
Wala,
Mary
ma'am,
Jane
ay. Nakasaway ko ng mga kanang student assistant sa teacher.
oh so he fell in love with you oh charot ganon okay kana yung gugma no kung di nimo pigilan o di nimo properly ma-channel ana pwede ta mabangga like me before I had different relationship that did not glorify God. That's why I was put into rehab in BTC. Basta kamo na bahala na unsa ko. Basta I was in rebellion. Even if I was already in church, I was already serving God, but I was in my double life. I go to Sunday school, I teach children, but then there was hidden strings attached in my life until I was not able to contain it anymore. Kana bitaw ang sin kay grabe na kaayo nya dili na ka maka-pray, di na ka makaharong sa Ginoo, and you don't deserve anymore the graces that God has given me. Until one day I said, I cannot take it anymore. And I confessed it to Teacher Daryl and to Kuya Boyet. And so they accepted me with no judgment, but then gi-accept ko nila sa balay. And then after that, I need to undergo pa emotionally healthy to be with Doc Gigi. So, 2 years gid ko adto na murag gi-rehab spiritually, emotionally, kana siya. And it was only by the grace of God that I am now able to continue my work as a teacher. And just like a hidden sin, the Lord will really put that one into light. So every sin that we do, expose it and confess it, because no one will help you grow in the spirituality of God if you keep it as a secret. Diba guys? Okay. A teacher also should not inflict corporal punishment to any learner. So kanang mga mamunal din ha, teacher, kung aggressive mo for example, na dali ra kay mo pwede kayo mo priso, or like gamay lang nagalos din ha sa child, especially right now for our social media. You can be posted, and then the next time around your license will be barred or tangtangon from you, and then he will be behind jail. So careful good kayo ta guys. So another code of ethics that we need to remind ourselves is that teachers shall establish and maintain cordial relationship with parents in conducting confidence and respect. So sometimes pud kani mga parents maka-find tag mga away sa ilaha, especially mangutan na teacher ngano gamay man kani grado ko anak nya dili makadawat, or sometimes they are also in demand for the good grades of their children, no? Every teacher shall inform parents through proper authorities of deficiency of the learners. For example, if they have deficiency in their studies, lacking of any activities in the academics, they need improvements. So parents should inform them. But sometimes maro man kini mga students, like for example, write the number of your parents. So sometimes di na nila ibutang ang mga correct numbers sa lang parents, labi nagdako ng mga students. Kaya nga naman hadlok ma isumbong, hadlok ma-guidance. Teacher also shall hear teachers parents complain with empathy, with sympathy and understanding, and shall discourage unfair criticism, especially if na gina-go through ang family, no? For that purposes. Okay. So another thing is that a teacher has the right to engage direct or indirectly in the legitimate income generation activities. So for example, maninda ka din hag Avon, maninda ka din hag um, networking, okay ra na as long as it will not affect your work. Kailangan sad kayo. We usually have this exposure kana bitaw. Okay, class, get one whole sheet of paper. Wala man ko'y paper, teacher. Ah, you don't have paper, come here. Form your line, get 1 peso. Si teacher na itong naninda. Di ba? Oh, class, you don't have snacks? Gawas ang basket ni teacher. Dagan kay food. Okay. Teacher, we don't have money. Oh, sige. Saint D, panglista. Mga nangutang. Di ba? That's also a no-no, guys. But if it's income generation, provided that it will not affect your work. Pwede man maninda, provided lang dili ka maingon nga, okay, for those who will be buying from teacher, you will have 2 points. Look, ala, in the teacher. Another thing in the reminder for the code of ethics is that teacher shall maintain a good reputation with respect to financial matters in loan. So, dili dapat mo tago si teacher, no? Kay, ingon bi ako ganina, si teacher ang doon sa bangko. So if it's time to pay, it's time to give the money, then give the money, pay the money. Yeah, labi na ka ng teacher sometimes kanang co-maker. Kasuway na muna co-maker guys. So for example, if someone will will loan a big amount of money, she or he will have three co-maker, either one relative and two friends. Co-makers are those people like they would attest that this person is honest, this person can really pay. Yeah, sometimes magkalisod na ang panahon financially, ang kani co-maker mo ay apas yun. So if someone will ask you to become a co-maker, you think 100 times, okay? 1 million times. Okay. And this will be my, let me see. Makasuway ko, Ma'am Nettie. Nahimo kong co-maker. Oh, how was it, Mary Jane? Wala na kay gisamok-samok?
Kausama nga kanang dugay sa nakabayad kami nga gisamok-samok. Pero
Mm,
once ra pud ko.
true. It's so scary not to become a co-maker. Lastly, no teacher shall act indirectly or directly as an agent or be financial interest in any commercial textbook. For example, okay guys, we will be buying this kind of textbook. Kaya nga naman si teacher na dito yung commission or na dito siya yung percentage. You know, hadlo kaayo, especially for um, textbooks. Uso man ni siya, especially mga big schools, like in our schools, for example, teachers will encourage the students to really kanhi gyud atong gamiton class palitag gyud ni ninyo masking mahal ka ay may bong na lang ta ya di ra ba gamiton tanan page no. So teachers, we are actually reminded, actually law gyud na siya no, but many are actually violating it for that law. Then we should have dignity at all times wherever we are nya kung si teacher mo tagay, okay raman siguro mo tagay ang other people mo na ilang panglantaw provided nga dili magwala no bisin hala teacher man ako sabihin nag-on lagi na siya nang hasi lagi na siya diri kahadlok na lang gyud. Or teacher should also give an utmost respect to others as they discipline, as they also be a model. So, you know, guys, you're so blessed that your teachers there in BTC are very godly, they follow Christ, and they are your good models, right? Do you agree? My students this time, they have so many people that are they are exposed to different personalities, people who are injustice is given to them, and at the same time morality is not one of the topmost priority. So this would sad ang ilang kana exposure pa. So a teacher also should maintain dignified personality wherever she is, worthy to be a model to the peers, to the learners, and even to her co-workers. And of course, to recognize that Almighty God is our ultimate guide where we do these things, where we educate people wherever we are, in Philippines, in Cambodia, in Japan. Okay. By the way, I would like to invite you for the coming sessions that we have. Maybe you saw different links, different posters on our group chat because there was a time in my teaching in my college this time is very difficult for me and I really need to invite people to teach them concepts, to teach them some theories. So what I have is they are actually invited for free. I just give them some tokens, mga little thank you lang good, little way of appreciation. And since it is for free, I also wanted to share the links, the recording. I can share it to you so that at least you will have an idea. And another thing is that I invited one from BTC. Her name is Maria Luna. You know her, right? She's working as an ESL teacher in Japan, and she'll be one of my guest speaker. She'll be teaching about English ESL to my ESL students or teachers in the future who will be teaching English. Correct? Yes. So I invite you. Hopefully you will be there listening to Teacher Luna, Teacher Moon, that's her code name, and she'll be sharing a lot of these things to my class. Okay, so I think the other topics, I will just continue with it on the other time since it's almost time for us. But before that one, I would ask you also to give your idea or any insight. We have one, two, three, four, five. I have five beautiful ladies in here. Happy Women's Month to the five of you guys. Do you have takeaway for today's discussion for our activities for today? You may unmute your microphone and share.
Ma'am,
Yes po.
kanang for example, like undergo kag training sa TESDA ka na ma-credited na siya sa, for example, teacher na ko, ka na mo renew ko sa akong board ba? Ma-credited na siya.
No po. It's just an additional certificate for you when you go to TESDA. But if you're referring regarding CPD units or the certification for professional development, there are seminars, symposiums that we need to join. Usually, it would cost us thousands also. But if you present your PRC, if you present your TESDA, you can use it. Murag na siya equivalent points, but dili ko sure. I will ask my friend so that I can answer that one properly. But I know that if you apply in public school, plus points siya si TESDA. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Kay dili man siya pang professional development si TESDA sa mga professional teachers. Mura man siya additional certification for vocational courses. Nya kani siyang professional development mo ni siya mga teaching strategies, pedagogy to become better teachers. Nya si TESDA kay pang vocation man siya. But nice na siya nga points. I think 10 points man siguro na si TESDA if you apply in public school. And then if the number of years 0.5 ra gamay kaayo. Sige, go. And unlike before, we need to get 45 points or 45 points kumbaga sa imuhang training. Like for example, one seminar is only giving us 10 units or 10 points. But there are also minimal lang ang payment. For example, 500 pesos na seminar or speakership, there would be 10 points. Okay lang. But there are also seminar nga tag 3,000 kay mga bigatin man sa nila mga speakers, so that's only 10 points. So imo na siyang i-file. So when you go to PRC, and then you will be getting points or you will renew your ID. Pangitaon to nila, ma'am, did you attend seminars? Did you join some CPD units activities? Like for me, I'm always high points. Nga naman, kay points man na mag-speaker ka, kung i-invite ka, especially national, daghan kay points. Like last August, I joined a competition. It's called you need to create your own teaching pedagogy because no one really come prepared, no? So my dean said, okay, teachers, you submit your idea on how to teach online. Okay. Yeah, out of respect to my dean, I created my own strategy. And then, after that one, I didn't expect anything. Kay late makuning submit. 12 midnight is the deadline. I submitted one in the morning. So, wala ko as long as nakasubmit ko, happy na ko. And then after two weeks, the announcement from ASEAN, it's a competition from teachers all over the Philippines and ASEAN countries. I didn't know, I just submitted. So, I think it was God who made me as a winner. I'm the first honor, kumbaga. So with the other schools, basta to make the long story short, guys, there was a trophy. It was from Vietnam. God let me win the competition. I didn't know there was some money because, di ba, ma-appeal mo school with the Asian culture, ma-winner yung school, di ba, it's already a hooray. So I didn't even expect. I was on the school website. So now pa jud ko gi-announce pa jud ko sa school website and other people knew. Yeah. Hilumon ra kay ko, guys. I always wanted my class to be at its best. Yeah. Nobody knows me in our university until I won that competition. Very humbling experience. Kaya imagine na late ko ni submit karon nadaog ko. And then after 2 weeks, they called me and they need to give me to asked me a teaching demo. So nag-teaching demo ko guys how to go over about this, what are the tools that you can do. You need to use also open education resources, meaning online tools that are available online and students can use it, teachers can use it effectively. And so to make the long story short, they gave me money and then later on I thought, okay na, yay Lord, nakadaog ta, praise bisa imuha nga ikaw dyan nagpadaog na ako kala kay naman di siya another mission. I need to educate teachers from all over the places. So first I need to educate, you imagine, din sa UP, din sa San Carlos, din sa CNU, din sa mga schools. Yung Lord, kinsa raman taon ko Lord. Hey, I'm just a person here in the city of Naga trying to find what are the resources I can use para matabangan ako mga students. And then guys, it's very humbling because I was able to have a meeting like 700 people listening to me on Zoom. And then at the end of my discussion, I always put that slide or verse that everything you do will be all for the glory of God. That even if you feel down, you feel unworthy at times, you are loved. There is a God looking up, looking down to every one of us. So at the end of the discussion, nagid ko yung mga, you know, it's my way to let them know also Jesus that it is not my own will, but sole Deo Gloria. Maginako ah. And then I already taught people in Mindanao. I had a seminar in there, people from Bicol. And then this coming May, I have to train people from Bicol with 250 kuan, audience impact. So like this lang, Zoom. Then they would know how to somehow use resources. So it's all for God's glory, good guys. So kamusad in the future, just be ready to be of service, be creative, be resourceful. Because before, during face to face, I'm just a simple teacher. But now, people will just call me, Teacher Natty, I heard about your seminar, blah, blah, blah. Can we invite you? Sunod na sa dala sa'yo mag-email. This is can we invite you as one of our resource speaker? Lord, unsa naman yun ni Lord? Yeah, sometimes ba, dili ko mo ask ka ng payment. Kana thank you ra gyud. And sometimes God will lead me to right people and to right time and right place. Okay? So that is why um are you from Tagbilaran? I have a family there in Buoy.
Yes,
Buoy,
ma'am.
Tagbilaran. Which part are you of Tagbilaran? Hopefully I can go there this April because I need to say bye-bye to my lolo and lola. They live in Buoy, Tagbilaran. Nya arte man kay inyo mayor din ha. Uy, padtuon po kog hotel.
Oh, doon na, ma'am.
Say dool